Well, hello everyone. No guts, no glory, Mr. That is. I've had several requests to do another coin video update. So let's call this one, Let's Talk Coins 101. How's that sound? So I'm going to kind of do an overall about coins, coin collecting, what you should hunt for, what you should probably do. I'll tell you what I do. You can take that with a grain of salt or go forward with it. Really strange times right now, but coins will always have a value, especially the older ones. The newer ones, not so much. Okay? Just like, for instance, the pennies. So we'll jump right into that part. And we'll just start with the pennies, go to the nickels, the dimes, the quarters, the halves, and work our way right on up the list. One of the questions I had was on the pennies. Which ones, are copper, which ones are the newer products, which ones are worth something, which ones aren't. I can tell you right off the bat, copper pennies are 1981 and older are all basically pure copper, 90+% copper. The newer pennies, which these are the newer type, let's see here, you know what the newer ones look like, okay? That's the newer pennies. The older ones look the same way, but the backs are different. The older ones are 1981 and older are all copper. Partially some of the 82s, but you really have to know. I can tell the difference, but until you're really good at it, you really can't tell the difference, so you don't want to mess with the 82s and newer. The problem is the 82 and newer, they look, okay, they look like copper pennies, but they're not. They have a micro layer of copper on them, but they are made of zinc. They sound different, okay, and they are 99% zinc basically. So Simon, stop it, go on. Got Simon wanting to get up here. There, got him down. Okay, so copper pennies 1981 and older. Now there are some, basically all the new stuff, let's get to that part. You really don't want to collect much of anything new. There's a couple exceptions, one of them being, of course, the zinc pennies that they made in 1909. And why did they make a special penny in 1909? Because that's the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln penny. So you've seen these, the back of them. There's one type. They made 4 different ones in 2009. There's one type. Here's the other type. Here was the first one that they made. But you want them to look brand new. And here's the 4th type that they made. Okay. That's Lincoln standing. So they made those 4 types. Those, if you can find them nice and shiny and new looking, just set them aside. They aren't worth much right now, but eventually they might be, because they only made them for 1 year, and they made 4 types. Yeah, they made them in hundreds of billions, but so many of them went into circulation, they get pretty bad shape pretty easy because they are the zinc pennies. If you've noticed in your change, the zinc pennies, all the newer ones, you can get some really nasty ones. So they get rotten and bad pretty easy. Where the copper ones, you'll start noticing when you start collecting them that they really look pretty good. And then also the copper pennies from 1958 and older, the Lincoln ones, like this one is a 57. Now these are called wheat pennies. Let's see if you can get a look at the back. It's hard to get a good view at the wheat stalks on the back. Don't know if you can see those. There's a pretty good look at them there. That's called a wheat penny, okay? They made those from 1958 all the way back to 1909. Those are wheat pennies. They're worth a little more, even the common ones, because they are pure copper plus they're wheat pennies. So they're worth, 3-4 cents a piece, unless you have a rare date, a rare mint mark. Now, the mint mark on those are on the front, underneath of the date. Okay? Don't know if you can see that one. That's a D on there. They made a D and an S. D standing for Denver, S standing for San Francisco, and the P, which they don't put on those, but if there's no mint mark, it's made in Philadelphia, stands for Philadelphia. There's only certain coins that will have a P, and that'll be the nickel. I'll show you that, and that's only the war nickels. Okay, so those are the pennies. 1981 and older is copper, 58 and older is wheat pennies. You want to save all of those. Okay, eventually the copper ones, say the 81 and older ones, are going to be worth, right now, see, you can't melt copper yet. There's a ban on melting copper pennies. It will be lifted, just like in the 60s and 70s they had a ban on melting silver, but now you can melt it. So they'll lift the ban and instantly you'll double your money at least on copper pennies, because it takes 100 and I believe 145 pennies to make a pound. And right now silver's well over $2 and it has been well over $3 a pound before, so you would be doubling your money practically overnight. So that's something just to set them aside. I put mine in the gallon tea jugs. They hold $50 face value. Okay, 5,000 pennies. And just set them aside, and one day those will double to triple your money. And for a penny, what I do is I buy boxes of pennies and I sort them. I used to get 15, 20 out of a $25 box of pennies. I used to get at least $15 in copper pennies, and as the years have progressed I'm down to about $5 in copper pennies, and the rest are all new junk pennies. And out of those I used to get 20 to 30 wheat pennies, and I'm down to about between 5 and 10 wheat pennies per box now, but you can still get them. So that's an easy way to make easy money eventually. Okay, buying boxes of $25 box of pennies and sort them. Okay, so now let's say we're done with the pennies. Let's move on to the nickels. You know what the nickels look like. There are several different types of nickels. Buffalo nickels and Jefferson nickel is the most common one. And also during the war, 43, from 42 to 45 they called them war nickels. And I had a question on those, and here is a fine example. On the back of these you will see, for instance, this is a D, and it is above the dome on the Monticello. You can see the mint mark, where normally the mint mark is way over on the side of Monticello. So that's what a war nickel looks like. Okay, you can see the mint mark above the dome. And war nickels are 40% silver. So you want to save those because they do have a silver value plus a war nickel value. Not a lot, but at least they are worth more than obviously than a nickel. Okay. Other than that, there's not a lot of nickels other than Buffalo nickels and the older ones than that to collect, because there's not a lot of them that's rare. The 1950D, but you know, it's not real rare. So I really wouldn't mess too much. You can set them aside if you want from say 1960 and older, but you're not going to get hardly anything other than face value for them. Let's move into dimes. You know about the kind of dimes we have today, that they're called a Roosevelt dime. Okay, let's get off right off the bat. Silver coins are from 1964 and older, are 90% silver. Any of those you want to keep. Very hard to find now. The government's been taking them out of circulation over the years, and you can't hardly find any in circulation anymore. Just like the copper pennies, the government has machines when they're all turned into the banks and they go up to the Fed and they are sorted through these machines. They actually weigh the pennies as they're coming through, and they can spin them different ways so they can get the copper out of the system. So that's why the copper quantities have been less and less and less and less. Eventually there won't be any copper in the system. Just like for instance, why have they not done away with the penny yet? I don't know. Pennies almost useless. A lot of people just throw them and they don't care. Canada did away with the penny in 2012. Okay, well, what are we going to do if they do away with the penny? You're going to roll up and roll down your taxes. Say you go to the store and it's $2.02. Well, it's going to be $2. If it's $2.03, it's going to be $2.05, because they're going to roll it up or down. That's how that'll work. Okay, so eventually they will do away with the penny if we keep the currency the way it is, which that's up in the air. That's a whole nother video I can talk about. Okay, so the dimes, Roosevelt dimes, are from like 1946 up until now is a Roosevelt dime. You know what they look like. And 1964 and older are silver Roosevelt dimes. Those you definitely want to set aside. They are 90% silver. Before that one you have the Mercury dime, which the Mercury dime looks like this. Very beautiful dime. And on the back it looks like this. Very pretty coin. That's one of my favorites, along with the standing Liberty quarters, which I will show you one of those. Alright. Again, 64 and older are 90% silver. So you definitely want to keep those. All of the Roosevelt dimes, there's not a lot of rare ones in there, so basically just the silver value. Okay. Then you start getting into values on the Mercury dimes that I showed you. Those will start increasing. Now, when you talk about the value of a coin, you want to understand the values of coins is, one, condition is a great big value factor, and two, the mint mark is another value factor, and three is the scarcity of it. How many of those did they make compared to the average ones? So you can get a coin book, you can look it up that way, but that's about how you can figure those. The biggest factor is the 90% silver. Silver, I'll talk about that part when I start getting into the bullion here. Okay. Now we'll move into the quarters. I did tell you about these are called the Washington quarter. Okay. We all know what those look like in our change. Then on the back, that's the most common one, until they started all of these centennial and all of the park coins, the state coins. You know what those look like. Each state made them. Then you start getting into the state and the national park ones. They look like this. And on the backs, there's different backs to all of them. Now those are state coins, or those are state quarters and national park quarters. Don't collect them. They aren't worth anything. Never will be worth anything. They made hundreds of billions of those things. So if you want them, you can collect them if you want. They're never really going to be worth much at all. So I really wouldn't waste my time. Coin collecting is very hard to do because everybody wants the older stuff and it's the more scarce stuff, so it's the harder to find and harder to buy. Next, in the quarters, I was telling you about a Standing Liberty, one of my favorite coins. This is a Standing Liberty quarter. Made them from 1916 to 1930. Okay? That is a Standing Liberty coin. The date is down at the bottom under where she's standing. The mint mark is off to the side of it. And on the back, you got a beautiful eagle flying. They didn't make a lot of these. They are a premium coin. Hard to find, but you can still get them. And that is one of my favorites. So anytime you can scarf those up, scarf them up. That is also 90%. Remember, 1964 and older on dimes, quarters, halves, and dollars are all 90% silver. So you want to definitely keep them. One exception to 90% silver is 1964 half dollars is 90%, but 1965, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those Kennedy halves like this. For instance, this is a 1967. We know what those look like. That's the back. This is a 67. This is 40% silver. Okay? A 1964 Kennedy half is 90% silver. So you want to collect 64 through 65 half dollars. Okay? Those are silver content. 64 is 90%. 65 through 69 are 40%. The one before it is called a Franklin half. That's what these look like. They are also 90%. Anything older than 64 is 90%. That's the front, and that would be the back. The Liberty Bell on the back. Save as many of those as you can, buy those, whatever. The only other half then, but even new or older than those, are the Walking Liberties, Walking Liberty half dollar. That's what those look like. They are beautiful coins also. The back has a beautiful eagle on it. That's what's on the back. Those are a good coin to own also. They look a lot like the new American Eagles, which they have the same lady on it but a different back, which I will show you that shortly here. So let's get into those. Silver dollars. Remember, 1964 and older on everything is on dimes, quarters, halves, and dollars is 90% silver. All right. Before that, now we'll get into silver dollars. This is a silver dollar. This is called a peace dollar. Okay, that's called a peace dollar. On the back, you've got the beautiful eagle on the back. Again, a premium coin, 90% silver, but it is a silver dollar, so they demand even a higher value. Where, say, silver's $14 an ounce, you'd be lucky to get, say 10 or 12 times face value, where a peace dollar and a Morgan dollar, you'll get about 20 bucks for it. Okay, 15 to 20. This is a Morgan silver dollar. The peace dollar they only made from 1921 to 1935, with some years in there that they didn't make them. This is a Morgan dollar. They made these a long time, back in the 1800s, all the way up to 1921. That's the most common year for these. That's a Morgan dollar. You can really get into some value on those because there's a lot of rare dates. There's a lot of low mintage dates to where you want to collect. Okay, next, let's talk bullion. Okay, bullion is coins or bullion bars or bullion silver rounds that are 100%, basically 9.9999 pure silver. Again, you'll pay a little over premium for them, especially now the way there's a shortage on silver and gold, and you pay a pretty stiff premium over what the spot price is, which this is an American Eagle. I'm sorry that this is going so long, but I'm trying to get you as informed as possible. That looks a lot like what I tell you, the Walking Liberty $50. But on the back, it's different. The other one had the eagle, where this one has that on it. And it even tells you 1 troy ounce, 999 silver. Now the difference between an ounce and a troy ounce, there's 12 ounces to a pound in troy ounces. There's 16 ounces in a pound with regular ounces. That's the difference. So that's actually a little more than an ounce, but they call it a troy ounce. Okay, that's the official American Eagle, they call it, and that's the official United States $1 silver eagle. Now you can start getting into bullion. They make them in 1 ounce, and they make hundreds of different varieties of them. But again, this is 99999 pure silver. That's what they look like. That's the buffalo or the Indian American or buffalo or Indian bullion. So they make them in 1 ounce. Here's an example of a 5-ounce bar. Okay, they're a little different. A lot of that's Silvertown. A lot of these are serialized, where that one is. So they make them in 1 ounce, 5 ounce, 10 ounce, 100 ounce, and I imagine even 1,000 ounce. So those are pure 9999 silver. Silver has been manipulated for years, as in 100, 150 years. The bank, the federal banking system and everything has manipulated the price to keep the price of silver down. Silver should be up even with gold, because there's about the same amount out of the ground as there is available. But silver actually has a high usage. That's why they're manipulating the price. They trade billions and billions of ounces on paper. The banking system does a year, just hundreds of billions of ounces a year, where there's only ever been 6 billion ounces harvested out of the ground. Okay, so you can see the difference. They're doing it all on paper. No silver's switching hands. And that's how they drive the price up and down, and that's how they make their hundreds of billions of dollars in the market. So they don't want to, it's illegal what they're doing, but the government's letting them do it, so they get away with it. Eventually that's going to collapse, and eventually it's going to go to its true value, and that's what you want. So that's why right now it's a bargain. It has been a bargain for years, but it's really low now. For $13, $14, $15 an ounce is, man, they're giving you a gift. You need to buy it if you can find it. It's getting so scarce to even find it now. If you can find it at a coin dealer, at a bullion dealer, you see the advertisements all the time on TV. Buy it, invest in it. You won't regret it. When it's freely traded, it will be probably hundreds of dollars an ounce. So you will make 10, 50, 100 fold on your money eventually. Okay? So my opinion. Take that again with a grain of salt, or believe it or not. But eventually it is going to take off, and I think it's going to happen soon. Eventually our banking system is going to collapse. We can't run the kind of debt we're running. That is my opinion. Let me see if I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about. We talked about the price of silver. We talked about the silver necklace. We talked about the pennies. Bicentennial coins, someone asked about that. Don't waste your time. Again, they've made hundreds of billions of those. They're really not going to be worth anything. Let's see. How to tell real silver? They look different. They definitely sound different from a regular quarter. Here's a regular quarter, and then here's a silver quarter. You hear the higher pitch, regular, silver. You can tell the difference by the pitch of it and the look of it. So that's how you can tell the difference. Mint marks, I tried to tell you a lot about the mint marks. PD and S is Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. When you start getting into the silver dollars, the older ones, they have CCs, which is Carson City, O, which is New Orleans. That really gets complicated. I don't want to get too far into that. That's for real serious coin collectors. Okay, let's see. Mint marks talk about, and how pennies are useless and eventually they will go away. I'm surprised they haven't gone away yet, but we still have them, so it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But again, the 2009s only if they are in really shiny, uncirculated condition, because they get bad real quick. Okay, so if there's any questions, please feel free to ask those, and I will update you on the questions eventually. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be glad to answer anything you got. I've collected coins since I was a wee little tot. So I used to go down to the gas station at night in the late 60s when I was coming up, and I would at night change in the new money, 1965 and older money, for their silver. They would let me get all their silver out, which there was a lot at the time. Over the years, it slowly got less, and now it's real hard to even find a silver coin. So good luck on hunting and finding them. You can't hardly find them. But that's how I did it, and I've got a good coin collection, and even over the years I've traded silver. Even back in the late 70s, early 80s, I'd buy it and it'd go up $4 or $5 an ounce. I'd sell it. So that's how you can collect coins and be profitable at it. I hope you ask some questions. Again, I'll feel free to ask anything, and I'll feel free to answer it. I hope you got something. Remember, no guts, no glory, Mr. That Is. I love you, and I hope you have a good day and stay safe. Bye.